Alrighty guys, welcome back to another LEGO set review from BrickByBrick, and today we have set number 41613. This is the Mr. Incredible and Frozone Brickheadz set. It contains 160 pieces, retails for $19.99, and you get the cool box art with the characters on the side, and you get the box on the back. There's a thumb tab like the rest of the $20 Brickheadz and the $10 Brickheadz too, for that matter. This set was released as a Barnes & Noble exclusive in the United States. Of course, it was also available on Shop at Home and at LEGO stores. It is a relatively simple Brickheadz set, has a lower part count, but I do think that just based on the box art here, the characters do look pretty decent based or relative to their on-screen appearances. So, I don't think they necessarily needed a ton of extra pieces. However, it does kind of work against the set from the start. We'll start first with Mr. Incredible. He is the lower number of the two, so relatively, easy to choose him to look at first. You also build him first, He's a pretty decent looking Brickheadz, like it's definitely instantly recognizable. I mean, I guess maybe you could potentially confuse him with Dash, but I don't see that happening. When you see this, you think Mr. Incredible. I love the Incredibles 1x4 printed brick logo, and, since you do have that, you could probably easily just rip the head off and, just use this body with a different build for a head for, say, Mrs. Incredible, or probably Violet too. I think you'd have to... I don't know. You'd probably have to make Dash a little smaller, otherwise it wouldn't look right. And obviously Jack would definitely not look right. But for what this is, I do think that this is a relatively decent design. The hair is nothing super special. It's very, the whole character is pretty simplistic, but that's kind of by necessity because, he really doesn't have too complicated a character design. One thing that is interesting is they do get the black going in the right shape to look like underwear on the outside, basically, and they don't make that a 2x4 plate like they do in the standard Brickheadz designs. His feet, will come up like that. If you understand what I'm getting at, it's a slightly different build, but that's honestly the most revolutionary. Or I guess there's one other thing that they do that's kind of different, just to allow these to sit inside. They don't have one of these 2x2 things with studs on the side there. But other than those two things, this is a very, very standard and simplistic Brickheadz, but I do think it looks good on the whole. It just doesn't offer a super duper different and exciting build. Coming into this set, I was much more excited for Frozone, simply because Frozone does not exist as a minifigure. This is the only way that this character has been created in LEGO form. So, just due to that fact, I think he's just a little bit more interesting than Mr. Incredible. The design for him is pretty good. They use this dark azure color throughout, and, the design looks pretty good overall. Definitely resembles his suit from the movie pretty well, as you can see on the side of the box. I like the printed pieces that they use for his face. However, I can't help but wonder if it would have made more sense to move the eyes up a level. Yes, that would have been kind of breaking the standard Brickheadz style, but if you look on the box, his mouth takes up a much larger portion of his face than his mask does. I don't know. I feel like it almost would have been warranted in this case, but I'm not upset that they went with this, because that is basically just a stylistic choice. Also, the print for the 1x4 tile looked good, and, they pretty much just smooth off the entire head. It's nothing super duper special. They do use some good prints on this, with this 1x4 brick and the 1x2 brick. This one doesn't seem like they print as close to the borders as they do on most Brickheadz parts. They usually try and make it work really, really well. This is just a little bit worse than usual. I don't think it's super distracting, unless you're specifically looking at the borders of this part. You're not really going to notice it, but, it's a little bit less perfect than usual. The 1x4s are really good, though, and I like how they made sure that the 1x4 is supposed to go all the way down to the corner, so you don't get any weird colors not lining up on the sides, which did happen with the Ursula Brickheadz, if you remember, from that review. And, you know, other than that, this is just a pretty standard Brickheadz. It looks good in relation to the source material, and this visor here is done a little bit differently than your standard Brickheadz, where they have that bracket piece right there, and just sticking out just a little, and they use one of the 2x2 plates that's too tall on the front and has the 2 studs to attach the mouth. And that just allows this to be offset outwards just the slightest bit. And, you know, it was a little bit interesting. I wasn't expecting it. But again, it's nothing super special. And I didn't mention this with Mr. Incredible, but both of the stands are the very standard Brickheadz stands. Which, you know, makes sense, because there's nothing super duper outside the box on ordinary with these two. If you're looking for a good parts pack, or, you know, some outside the box construction on these, you're not going to find them here. These are very, very simplistic, but I do really like the way that they came out. I think they look good on display, and I'm happy to have them. But, you know, if you're not a big fan of these characters, I don't think that you're going to miss out, really, by not buying this set. I don't think that this is one of the standouts. You know, it's not nearly as good as, say, the Back to the Future ones, which, you know, I think both look great, have some good parts, and are interesting to build. And, you know, I just love Back to the Future, so that's my favorite one. And then the Little Mermaid ones really impressed me with the build style, and they have a ton of parts in there, so good all around. I mean, you know, this is not a top-level Brickheadz set, but if you were a big fan of The Incredibles, I'd still recommend it. I think the value is decent at spending $20 for these. However, you will notice just from picking up the box, it's not nearly as heavy as some of the other ones. For example, The Little Mermaid. That just has a ton of parts in there. So, you know, simple build, fast, easy, looks good. You know, I'd still recommend this set, but obviously they gave you some reasons not to buy it earlier. You know, it just kind of depends on what your personal opinion on The Incredibles is. So, hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you did, let me know in the comment section down below, and I will see you guys all next time. Bye, everyone.